Hi, this is Mario Andretti, and you're tuned into Cam, Graydon, and the team as Stickers and Scuffs podcast. They're true Canadian racing fans.
This episode of the Stickers and Scuffs podcast has been brought to you by RE/MAX Jack. Jack provides a friendly, customer-driven service in search for homes and provides excellent details on the market, values, and trends in buying and selling. Jack has been able to work with Cam on his search and always makes himself available when he has a question. RE/MAX Jack will help you if you're looking to buy or sell a home within the GTA. He's who Cam K trusts to find his next home, and he should be yours too. Remember, call RE/MAX Jack and start to pack. For more information, go to remaxjack.ca.
Here at the Stickers and Scuffs podcast, Ken K, Great and Bun here, back with you, back from a sunny vacation, nice away from the snow and the cold, but we're very excited actually because Matthew Scannell from the NASCAR Pinty series drives the 99 for Larry Jackson Racing, is joining us for his first podcast appearance on the show. Matthew, how are you?
Good. How are you guys doing today?
Oh, great, man. We're under 2 months to the season, so gotta be pretty exciting for you guys out in the Larry Jackson Racing crew and yourself. Only a couple weeks even from the season opener. You got the following week is CTMP, and I imagine that's part of your schedule for this year.
Yeah, absolutely. We will be at CTMP in the 99 car for sure.
Yeah. One of the things we can talk about CTMP and Matthew Scannell is that you run pretty good there. Last year, it didn't really. I think maybe we don't want to end. We want to talk about how it ended at CTMP. Oh, maybe we do actually, because not enough people got to see that you were face to face with a competitor. There we go. That's appropriate.
We're gonna do hat dance in this episode for.
Yeah, you were face to face with a competitor afterwards who had made some contact with you, and you just let them know, hey, I don't have the money that you guys have, and I don't like being raced like that.
Yeah,
but you're back out there, and you guys put on a show each and every week. Larry, I was talking with Larry last week, and he said you guys been working on that car all off season. So how excited are you to go back there?
Very excited, and yeah, we've been putting a lot of hours into the car. I mean, last off season, before this previous season, it was same thing really. It is an older car. It's Larry's car. First off, thanks to Larry for even providing us with the equipment to use, because that's the hard part is finding cars. It's an older car. I think it was originally DJ's car. Over 15 years ago.
Oh, man.
So in terms of the way they built cars at that point in the series, it's a little bit different. The main thing being weight distribution and sort of, just trying to lighten that car up as much as we can. We worked on it a lot last season. My dad put a lot of hours into that car, just doing everything we could to get any unnecessary weight out of the car and then into the bottom inlet. And same thing this season. And obviously working on our strengths and weaknesses that we found after racing 3 races in it. So yeah, we're putting in as much time as we can to make sure that when we show up to the track at Mossport that we're fast and they're competing for a podium and then hopefully a win.
Whenever we talk to anybody, like from Larry Jackson Racing in the broad spectrum here, all of you guys make no bones, and Larry does too with his equipment. He doesn't like having to have his hand out for money. He's not afraid to get his hands dirty, and that everybody that works with him is of that same mindset. And you guys, the Scannells, are synonymous with NASCAR, Canadian Tire Series, CASCAR on back. I mean, you guys are deep rooted in it, and you guys are getting your hands dirty and getting the most of every dollar and every inch on the track. I mean, that's about as gratifying as it gets, I would think, for you, especially as being the next generation of it too.
Yeah, it definitely does help in terms of how you feel after you have a good run or when you qualify well. I mean, obviously every team has different budgets, and but I think it's what you do with it and how much work you put into the car and really who you surround yourself with. And I mean, being a driver at Larry Jackson Racing, like for them, I mean, you guys know most of the crew. We all get along very, very well. It's fun to go to the track. It's fun to go to the shop and work on the cars. And everybody works together as a team to make us better as a whole, which is a big thing. And my dad and Larry spend a lot of time bouncing ideas off each other, as well as myself, bouncing ideas and just how we can make these cars faster with what we have to work with. So yeah, it's definitely gratifying when that all comes together and you see that, you know, you can do it without a huge budget.
And like you say, you're not big in numbers, but I mean, every single one of you guys know your way, have an innate knowledge of those cars inside and out and top to bottom. Like you say, when you guys are chopping weight out of the older chassis or whatever, and getting weight reallocated and updating and stuff like that. I mean, that takes a pretty expert level working knowledge of those cars, and that's got to be an asset when you're trying to save a buck in terms of Larry's ownership hat that he's wearing.
For sure. And yeah, I mean, Larry and my dad both have, you know, they've been in the stock car world for longer than I've been alive. So just the knowledge that they have from years of experience, and obviously late models and stuff are somewhat different than a NASCAR Pinty series. But I mean, the amount of experience that they bring from their past in motorsports is something that I notice every time I work on the car with them, every time we're at the racetrack, and it converts into, you know, positive performance for the race team, which is great to have on board.
And you know, Cam and I always love hearing where those chassis come from too.
Yeah, that's great. I love hearing 15 years. And that's what I find amazing.
Next 15 years actually. So when we first raced that road course car, so I think Kennington had it, and then I think there was another owner, and then Noel Dowler had it. He raced it as the 5 car with the MCO sponsorship. Then that's when we got the car. It was still all wrapped up like that. It was from out west. Nice car, built very nice, fabrication work, really nice. Just a little bit outdated in terms of, you know, some of the weight distribution and certain other things, but we did our best to update it. And I remember when we qualified in the top 10 in the first race in it, and we were running really well. I think Whitey built that car for Kennington, and I remember him coming up and looking at it. He's like, was this originally Kennington's car? I was like, yeah. And he's like, wow. He's like, this thing is so old. How are you guys doing so well with it? But I mean, it seems to be a really good car in terms of everything we do that we think should be progressive for our performance. It seems to work. So, and that's what you look for in a race car, something that's predictable. So, I mean, I have no problem with it, and I think what we've changed in the off season is going to be even better. So, yeah, I look forward to the first race at Mosport for sure.
It's always interesting because for yourself, you don't have an extensive road racing background, right, Matt? You kind of grew up on and running on the short oval. So how did the road course become your thing? Because you've clearly shown the last couple of seasons that it doesn't matter how old this car is and what your equipment is. You guys are typically running within, if not up to the top 5. You've run as high as the top 2. You've led at CTMP in that same car, if I'm not mistaken. So where did the road course aspect come from? It just something that came naturally to you?
Well, I think so. I started in go-karts when I was 7. So, and that was all road course. So and that was with the Waterloo Regional Karting Club, and then as well as the Brian Stewart Karting Club. So just the general knowledge and aspect of driving lines and how to get around a road course fast in go-karts absolutely helped. And then, yes, when I first started in stock cars, my first races were ovals. In general, though, to be honest with you, my seat time is low compared to a lot of drivers. You can only afford to do so many races, and if I could race every weekend or multiple times a week, I would, because as everybody knows, seat time translates into better performance. It just does. That being said, I do my best to prepare myself mentally and think how I'm going to make my laps faster without the testing and stuff like that. And that's a way you can get around it a little bit. But the road courses, I mean, I just like them. They're different than an oval. One thing I would say, oval versus road course, is oval, you're racing against your competitors all the time, whereas on a road course, you're kind of racing yourself. Yes, you're around other cars, but you need to do your best as a driver to make sure that every corner that you are getting every 1/100th of a second out of that corner. Because if there's 10 corners on a track and you miss a 1/10 of a second every corner, you're going to be quite slow. So if you can just mentally look at it like that, that's why I like road courses. You can really make or break a lap by picking apart the track and different sections and making the best out of it. And I think with the performance of our cars and if I can do my job properly, I think we're going to be fast, and it'll be fun to race against the road course racers that are in our series and put on a show for the fans. There's nothing better than that. So
yeah, you guys have definitely done it. Is a place like GP3R still on your mindset of a place that you'd like to go? Because I believe you have raced there before, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, I have. I was racing in the 56 car. Have raced there. Would love to go back. I think so. Our plan currently is the 5 road courses, and sponsorship pending, maybe a couple of ovals. Not sure yet what ovals, but we're working towards having a car ready for that. We do have a nice oval car, a newer one that we've been working on and sort of putting together and getting ready. So if things work out, hopefully be at a couple ovals as well. But for now, 5 road courses is the plan, to be at CTMP, the Trois-Rivières, ICAR, in Toronto, and definitely excited for GP3R. Like, that event is just out of this world compared to a lot of the events that are on the circuit. Just the fans there. And the event crew, the show that they put on, just to be a part of it is amazing. And that track has so much history and is so cool to drive and technical. And yeah,
that's the one thing, man, is when we were there last year as fans, I think the one thing we both said, great, and I remember it was like, how cool is it just to drive through the arches like that? So cool, man.
It's a totally different track. Like it's even different in a sense in Toronto. Both are street. It's both are very tight, wall to wall. But Trois-Rivières is a lot about, lots of long straightaways and then heavy braking zones. But I mean, the biggest thing is carry your speed through the corners and don't overslow the car, which is something that comes with seat time as well as just being mentally focused. A track like GP3R is a place where I think you need to be 100% focused and dialed in every corner if you want to do well there. You can very easily make or break a lap time by messing up as a driver, which I like about it, because it puts everybody on a very even playing field.
And we've seen it. You saw it last year. Sam Fellows finished 6th in Jim Bray's 98 car. We've seen you again routinely. And I think what's been very noticeable, I think, lately is we always used to say there was the ovals that brought everybody together. I don't think that's the case anymore. I think it's the road courses that seem to bring a lot of the field closer together. I mean, we've seen it day in and day out now with the NASCAR Pinty series. The competition is great, but seeing yourself and MBS Motorsports with Daniel Bois getting up there, seeing the Ron Fellows, maybe someday, seeing Sam Fellows get up there and run, and the equipment isn't all the same, yet you're able to get out there. I'm curious though, you mentioned that this car is heavier. Is there any benefit to having a heavier car, or is it just completely a
down low?
Yeah. Is it completely useless?
I mean, NASCAR, first off, to comment on the closeness of competition and the pack getting closer together. There's a big part of that to do with the rules packages, and that is the points of having a very strict rules package and having it enforced, is so that everybody's equipment is as close as possible in terms of ability to perform, which I do think NASCAR does a good job at. But yeah, so to answer your question about weight, everybody has to be the same weight. Like every car has to roll over the scales at a certain weight. So when I speak about weight, I don't necessarily mean total weight. It's just where the weight is. And if you can have a car that's, before you even put any lead in it, very, very light, and then be able to fill those frame rails right at the bottom of the chassis full of lead, it just brings your center of gravity to a point where you're able to get a lot more performance out of the car, and really helps with long-term tire wear as well. So that's something we're working on.
That's something good that you said, tire wear. Sometimes you guys weren't changing tires and you're running up front. So that does, I guess, in a sense, help you guys out, right? And
that's something, a big part of it is, it's huge. Getting the weight down low to help keep your tires underneath you for a longer time. Obviously, a lot of it's my job to manage the tires, which is difficult to do when you've got guys like LP Dumoulin and Lacroix and Tagliani and Trayton Lapsovich and these guys. Everybody's racing very hard for every position. But I think at Mossport's a big place where it's very important to save tires at the start of the race for sure.
You've kind of hit a lot of the questions I had for you in these conversations, which is awesome. But I mean, excuse me, knowing what you know about Mosport and that you just love it, and to Cam's point, where now we're talking about like the staples of the Pinty series road courses, like they've kind of stood the test of time. Like there's Mosport's always there, and more recently, I guess you'd say Toronto's back. I mean, after an absence or whatever, but GP3R, it's for you as a competitor, that does bring out the who's who. Like when you're competing against some heavyweights, like some big time, deep talent from multiple disciplines. And the fact that you love it as a driver, it has to elevate your game. The fact that you like what you're doing and the people that you're racing against, I mean, it's got to hone your skills in a real hurry.
Yeah, it does. It's definitely, it changes the learning curve. I mean, you kind of have to, or else you're not going to keep up. And in my opinion, not keeping up isn't near as fun. So, racing around those guys, just seeing what they do on the track too. There's lots of things you can pick up from certain drivers, see what they do and what works, and it might not work for you in your car, but it's definitely good to race around them. And then, especially when it comes race time, when everybody's driving at an elevated pace and tensions are high, you tend to perform to who you're around. I think it's very similar in a lot of sports. You could say the same philosophy for hockey, soccer, whatever it be. You play to the skill of those around you, and being surrounded by talented road course racers that I am surrounded by definitely has helped my learning curve and will help my learning curve moving forward.
And everybody does have their own learning style, and it's all in how you've been brought up and that sort of thing. But I mean, you have such a deep working knowledge. Like, you're talking about where you're putting weight in the car and how you can build for tire management into the way the weight's distributed. And then you can also put yourself in the driver's seat to help manage that, what you've built. I mean, it's a working knowledge like no other, and it's got to be, as I've said, rewarding. But I mean, it's the whole package is what I'm saying. You've been around this sport for a long time as a driver. You're not an old man by any means, but I mean, you've showed up through the years, and you've progressed and honed your skills. So I mean, it speaks to what we're talking about right now in terms of when you come to the races, you're getting trial by fire education, but you're absorbing it the whole time.
Right. And it does. I would say too, having the mechanical knowledge of a race car, driving it. Mm-hmm. I know not all the fans see this, and not everybody understands the amount of communication that needs to happen between a driver and their crew chief, being my dad, Howie Scannell. The amount of communication that needs to happen in order for me to tell them what's going on the track and where I think we can improve. I think just having the mechanical background to be able to say, okay, well, it's not just tight or loose here. I can say, okay, I think this needs to be changed. I think we need more sway bar, or I think we need more spring, or whatever. It just really knocks down some barriers in communication, I think, especially when you only have an hour to practice and hone in your car. That's definitely an advantage I think I have, and I share with my dad, is that we can communicate very well, because every time we're building these cars and we're setting them up and we're changing setups and doing everything, both of us are there. So both of us understand what we've done in the car to try and make speed in certain areas. And so that way, when they work, we understand that it's this for this reason. And when they don't work, we understand it's for this reason. So yeah, that's definitely a big plus to being hands-on the cars as well.
Yeah, that's not just wrenching. That's not just wheeling. That's engineering, dude. Like, total respect for that, man. It's so cool. I love that as a fan.
That's half the fun too. Like, it makes racing a lot more involved and so much more rewarding when you and a group of people like myself and my dad and Larry Jackson and everybody else that helps in the cars, when we all have a little piece of ideas go into a race car and things start to work and perform, it just feels so much better at the end of the weekend. So
yeah,
we're looking forward to this season more than any. I mean, hearing the names, seeing the success that we had after last year, obviously you confirming that you're going to try and be out there for all the road courses. MBS going to be out there trying to get to all the road courses. Man, the field is going to be stacked once again this year. Matthew, obviously we're big fans, and we've been really big fans since day one, and it was only a couple years ago that we met you at Sunset Speedway, and you've carried us on the 99 car before, and we're hoping to be back out there this year. We obviously want to wish you the best of luck for this year, but you obviously have had some partners that have been on your race cars over the years. You might have some partners that'll be back on this year. But this is the opportunity to send out any thank yous to any partners that you want to, or any specific people that have helped you make it to the racetrack each and every week.
Absolutely. And I think over the last couple of years, we've had a couple of partners that have been there consistently. The main one being Main Street Logistics. That's actually my Uncle Tom. That's his business. And it's a logistics company that specializes in small parcel shipping. And he started that business on his own. And he has 3 sons that are in high level hockey, so high level sports. So his appreciation for what it takes to compete at a high level, just because of his experience with his own kids, I think is what makes him so interested in our sport, and just getting him exposed to it, and the amount of support and the amount of support he's shown our race team, both with helping with funding and just being there at the races and showing interest over the last couple of years has been amazing. And we look forward to working with him in the future and building our relationship further and further, so that not only can he help out our race team, but we can try to help out get some brand recognition and get him some more customers for his company. Also, we have My Box on the car. That's a storage company. Their continued support has been amazing. And then O'Neill Electric, I think, is the one that needs to be talked about. Not only supporting and being on my race car, but just supporting the whole Larry Jackson Racing company is something that's very important and integral to our success as a team. They've been there for years now. I think the fact that they have been back on board for season after season is starting to show in terms of recognition of their brand associated with Larry Jackson Racing. They're not just there for one race; they're there on every race. They're there on the car every race, season after season now, and people start to say, "Hey, that's Larry Jackson, the O'Neill electric car. That's Matthew Scannell. He's got the O'Neill electric on his car as well," which hopefully can just further expose O'Neill Electric to the group of fans that follow our series. And then also a sponsor that came on last year for the second race. We have Hobby. Cool story about that sponsor. They sponsored my dad back in the NASCAR days at the Indy, at Mosport. The fact that they came back and were on our race car for CTMP was really cool to have them there. And I think they had a great experience, and we are hoping to get them back as well for some select road courses. And then a name that I think is pretty out there and well known in the motorsports world is Nitro 54. Dan from Nitro 54 supported us at Mosport and also supported Aaron Turkey in the 99 car at Oshwegan. That's kind of where that whole connection started was when Aaron Turkey got into Larry Jackson Racing and started racing. We started that connection, and Dan expressed some interest in breaking a little bit deeper into the Pinty series, and the relationship that we've had with him so far has been nothing but positive, and we hope to build it further. And I hope that Nitro 54 can be just as recognizable in the asphalt and Pinty series world as it is in the dirt world. And I think that would be really cool. And I'd love to work with him and Aaron Turkey to do that.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. It was great. Now, but Matt, if they come to say we got to switch to number 54, are you going to do that?
If I have to, we might have to. It's 99. 99 is important to me in terms of family history. My grandfather raced it, my dad raced it, and I'd like to keep it for as long as I can. But you do what you have to do for your sponsor, because I think we all know without sponsors that the racing world doesn't go around. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Matthew Scannell, man, this was a good episode, man. We got to get you on again, man. We this was something we were supposed to do.
As if this was the first one. I can't believe
I
that,
know.
honestly.
We were going to do this a couple years ago, and they got lost in translation. But
no, I'm glad you guys invited me on the show. It's been nice. It's great. Always great to talk to you guys and talk about the series and what's coming up. I'm just as excited as you guys are. And I hope all the fans and everybody else, whoever's watching this or whoever's going to be watching the Pinty series this season, is just as excited as I am.
Feels like it. Feels like we're getting in
big
for a big season. But Matthew Scannell here on the Stickers and Scuffs podcast. Make sure you check him out in the number 99 for Larry Jackson Racing this season.